Hi, I'm Christina, and this is a book review of My Friends by Fredrik Backman. So this is his brand new book. It was published in 2025, and this was one of my most anticipated books of the year, and I absolutely loved it. I've given it 5 stars. This is one of the best books I have read in a long time. It's definitely one of the best books I have read this year. And I think this is going to be one of my favourite books of all time now. I thought it was absolutely wonderful. So let me tell you a little bit more about it. The first character we are introduced to is called Louisa. She is 17 years old and she's just run away from her foster home, and she's grieving her best friend Fish, who died 3 weeks ago. Now, there is a painting that she has a postcard of that means a lot to her, and it is currently for sale at an auction house, and she decides that she's going to break into the auction to see this painting with her own eyes because it means so much to her. And then after she has been caught and she's running away and trying not to get caught, she runs into a man that she thinks is homeless and his cat. Now, that isn't all as it seems to be, and she strikes up a conversation with him and it kind of goes from there. And I don't want to tell you too much more because I think it's nice if you just kind of experience it for yourself. So that's how our characters first meet. And then there's another character who's very important. He is called Ted, and he is the friend of the man that she runs into who she thinks is homeless. Now, this is such a beautiful book, and I think it's such a lovely story. It's charming, it's tender, it's wholesome, it's quaint, it's warm, and I also think it's very life-affirming at times too. And it's also quietly very funny. At its core, I would say this is a book about friendship, and it's also a book about love and loss and grief and childhood friends and found family. And it's also a story about the power of art and the way in which art connects us to one another. And I just thought it was so beautifully written. I was so connected to these characters. I was connected to every single character in this story, even the secondary ones, the tertiary ones, and it's so beautifully written. And this book made me cry more times than I can count. I literally lost count of the amount of times this book made me cry. And it also made me laugh. And I think it is so rare for a book to be able to make you both laugh and cry. And I think this is one of the quickest I've ever really cried in a book too. I think I was only about 50 pages in. I think it was at page 52 that I started to cry for the first time. And I just think it's so powerful and it's so beautiful. And it really is such a genuinely beautiful story about friendship. And I think it's so nice and refreshing to find a story that centres on friendship. And yeah, it was absolutely brilliant. I loved these characters. Overall, this is such a beautiful story. I think it's actually a perfect story for me. There isn't anything at all that I would change. And it was such a beautiful reading experience. And I think those are so rare. So when you find a book like that, it really is very special. And I think this is a book that is going to stay with me for a very long time. And I do think I will think about it often. So yeah, I absolutely love this. I would say this is probably the best book about friendship that I have ever read. And I think that's saying quite a lot. I think it was so pure and so genuine, so warm and heartfelt. And I just absolutely loved my time reading this. Now, as I said before, this is my 4th book by Fredrik Backman. And the ones I have read are Beartown, Anxious People, and A Man Called Uwe, and then this one. So out of those books, my favourite was Beartown. And I have to say that I didn't think he could ever write a novel that I would enjoy more than Beartown. It's one of my favourite books of all time, possibly my favourite book of all time, depending on the day in which you ask me. So the fact that he's written a book that I think I might enjoy even more has absolutely shocked me, because I didn't think anything was going to knock Beartown off the top spot for me. Now, I did read it a few years ago, so I probably would have to read it again to be able to compare them properly. But honestly, this was just so wonderful, so beautiful. And like I said, for a story to make me both laugh and cry, and to cry multiple times over whilst reading it. It's a very powerful and a very special book, and I just thought it was just absolutely brilliant. So I would highly, highly recommend this one. One of the best books I have ever read, and I think if you're looking for a story that will make you feel emotional, a moving story, one that you can really kind of connect to those characters, and there's some funny moments, there's some heartbreaking moments, and you're going along learning the story of this painting with Louisa, and yeah, it's captivating. I absolutely loved it, and it's one of the best things I have ever read. Now, I just wanted to share some quotes with you that really made me feel something, because I think one of the best things about a Fredrik Backman book is his gorgeous, gorgeous prose. And I just love the way that he writes and the way he constructs his sentences. And I just thought I will share just a few quotes that kind of left an impact on me, and you can kind of get a really nice feel for his writing through some of these quotes. So this one is on page 26. The man looks frightened, but the cat just looks very annoyed, as if Louisa has spilt milk over its stamp collection. I love that line. So the next one is on page 66. Ted can't help smiling at this. I can't afford it, my dear. Aren't you rich? She exclaims, glancing at his clothes, as if everyone with clean pants must be financially independent. The next one is on page 211. The janitor looks ashamed at that. Sometimes you don't appreciate your own blessings until you see the envy in someone else. And I just thought that was a brilliant, brilliant quote. I absolutely love that one. The next quote is on page 215. We're not allowed to die for our children. The universe won't let us, because then there wouldn't be any mothers left. And I thought that was such a beautiful quote. The next one is on page 257. But that's about as effective as throwing marshmallows at a whale and thinking it will change direction. I just love the way he writes his sentences sometimes. It's so unique. So those are all the quotes that I wanted to share with you. This was such a beautiful story. I actually sat there with a notepad and a pen next to me so I could jot down some of the most beautiful quotes. And that is so rare for me to do. For the most of the books I read, I won't make note of any quotes at all. Some of them maybe 1 or 2 or 3. This one I had so many, and I think that shows what a spectacular book it is, because it's so rare for me to write down multiple quotes in a story, and it didn't even take me out of the reading experience. I would sit there, I'd read a sentence and I'd read it again, and I was like, I have to make a note of that. It's just so beautifully constructed. So yeah, overall, I thought this was a wonderful, wonderful book. I think it was spectacular, and that is not a word that I would use often. It was so, so, so beautiful. I was so connected to these characters. They all feel so real to me, and they genuinely feel like they could be out there in the world living their lives. I absolutely loved it. It was so much fun, such a brilliant reading experience. I had such a good time with this book. And I just found it so moving, so charming, so funny. It's very, very witty at times. And I just absolutely loved it. I don't think I could praise it any higher. And if you are interested in reading it, I couldn't recommend it anymore. Definitely go and read it. I thought it was brilliant. Genuinely going to be possibly the best book I've read this year, and definitely it's one of my favourite books of all time. Who knows what else I might read this year, but so far I think this is quite easily the best book that I have read in 2025, and I just thought it was brilliant. I couldn't praise it any higher. It was a perfect story for me. So thank you so much for watching. Please do like the video if you've liked it, and please do subscribe if you'd like to hear more of me talking about books. If you have read this one, I would love to know your thoughts down in the comments below. Definitely let's talk about this. It was just so, so good. And if I've convinced you to read it, come back and tell me what you thought of it once you have read it. So I will see you in my next one. Bye.